So today we're going to move on to a different part of polynomials, which is about factoring. And we're only going to deal with factoring trinomials in this lesson. So if you have a binomial, which looks like this, with two terms, we need to look for the greatest common factor first, which is a number or a variable that divides into every term. So for example, my smallest number here is 4, so I can see if 4 divides into each of these, which it does. So then my greatest common factor is 4. So then if I divide out 4 from this binomial, 4 divided by 4 is 1. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3, and then you put the 4 out front. So it's the opposite of distributing. If you have a trinomial, which is 3 terms, you use the following steps. So first you look for the greatest common factor. So let's go through these step by step using our examples. So I'm going to write a 1 in front. So greatest common factor, so I'm going to look for my smallest number, which is 1. If I divide everything by positive 1, it doesn't change anything. So my GCF is there, it's 1, but it doesn't really change anything. So now I'm going to multiply a times c. So we'll notice up here that a is the number in front of x squared. So my a is 1. And my c is the number at the back that doesn't have a variable, my constant. So that in this case is 2. And 1 times 2 is 2. And then we make our t-chart. So the number that goes in this first column is our a times c, so in this case 2. And the number that goes over here is our b, or our middle term. So our middle term here is 3. Alright, so step 3 says find factors of ac that add to b, and then choose our correct pair. So factors of 2 are 2 and 1, and negative 2 and negative 1. So in order to get from here to here, we're going to add across. 2 plus 1 gives me 3. Negative 2 plus negative 1 gives me negative 3. And I'm trying to match the number up here. There's my match. So then this is my correct pair. All right. So then step 4, double bubble, means I need 2 sets of parentheses. In front goes my variable. And then at the back are these 2 numbers. This is positive 2, so I'll write a plus 2. This is positive 1, so I'll write a plus 1. So then my last step is to divide and slide. What that means is you're going to divide by a. So my a term here is 1, so I divide these numbers by 1. And then I simplify. So 2 over 1 just simplifies to 2. And 1 over 1 simplifies to 1. So then those are my factors. So let's move on to our second example. So again, my first step is to find this GCF. And my smallest number here is 1. So again, we don't really need to divide that out. Second step, multiply a times c. So my a is 2. And my c is negative 6. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. And then I'll make my t-chart. So again, the number that goes here, a times c, so that's negative 12. Over here is b, that's 1. And I'll find factors of negative 12. So let's see, negative 1 and 12. That gives me 11, so that one doesn't work. Let's see, negative 2 and 6. That gives me 4. That does not work. Negative 3 and 4. That gives me 1. There's my match. So those are my 2 numbers. All right, so step 4 is to double bubble. So my 2 parentheses. In front is my variable, which is x in this case. And then I write my numbers. So negative 3, and that's a positive 4. All right, so step 5 is to divide and slide. So I'll divide by my a, which was 2, and 2. All right, so 3 over 2 does not simplify, so this is where the divide and slide part comes in. So the denominator, once you simplify your fraction, the denominator, if there is one, slides to the front. So this becomes 2x minus 3. And then here, 4 over 2 simplifies to 2, and there's no denominator, so you don't need to slide. All right, so let's move on to our next example. So again, our first step is to look for our GCF. So my smallest number here is 2, and I can divide 2 into everything. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, x squared. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. All right, so now you'll see I have this new trinomial. We're going to keep this 2 in front. We'll just need to put it in front of our double bubble at the end. So step 2, multiply a times c. So here's my a and my c. So I have 1 and negative 8, which makes negative 8. Make your t-chart. And my middle number is negative 2. All right, so 1 and negative 8, multiply to negative 8 and add to give me negative 7, which does not match. Let's see, 2 and negative 4 adds to give me negative 2. That's my match. So there are my two numbers, 2 and negative 4. So I'll double bubble, x in front. I have a positive 2 and a negative 4. I'll divide and slide. So our a here is 1. Let's see, 2 over 1 simplifies to 2, and negative 4 over 1 simplifies to negative 4. And don't forget we need this 2 in front because we divided that out at the beginning. All right, so last type of example is an SOL type question that I wanted to expose you to. So we're going to do the same way we did up here. So again, we need to identify each expression that's a factor. All right, so my hint to you here is if you have a whole number, you need to check to see if you can divide everything by 2, or whatever that whole number is. I can divide everything by 2, which means this is a factor. So let's go ahead and divide that out. All right, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. All right, so again, we're going to go through these steps. We've already taken care of our GCF. So step 2 is to multiply a times c. So we have 3 times negative 8, which gives me negative 24. Make my table. My b term is negative 2. So factors, 1 and negative 24 gives me negative 23, not my match. 2 and negative 12 gives me negative 10, not my match. 3 and negative 8 gives me negative 5, not my match. 4 and negative 6 gives me negative 2, and there's my match right there. All right, so 4 and negative 6 were my two numbers. So double bubble, so x in the front. And we got positive 4 and negative 6. Again, step 5 is to divide and slide. So my a term was 3, so I'll divide by 3. All right, so I'm going to bring that over here. All right, so 4 over 3 does not simplify, so that's going to move in front of my x. And then negative 6 over 3 does simplify. It simplifies to 2 with no denominator, so nothing to move. Okay, so we divided out that 2, so we're going to put that in the beginning. All right, so 2 is one of my factors. We got that. 3x plus 4, there we go, and x minus 2. So I have 3 answers because I have 3 factors.